INAudio presents The Schrödinger Girl by Laurel Brett. Read for you by Barr. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. Albert Einstein. Chapter 1. I didn't really get the 60s, or all the 60s worship that went on around me. I was tired of paisley and cartoonish graphics. I would go to my grave convinced that green and blue and orange and pink don't go together, whatever anyone said. I didn't want to have to take a side about Vietnam and make up my mind about whether our government was right and righteous, mistaken, or even worse, just conning us. I left that to other people. Everyone badmouthed the 50s, and I could see why. Sure, the blacklist was awful, and I hadn't much liked Eisenhower either. But I liked the neatness of those times. The notion that our routines could save us from the savagery of the war we had just lived through, that they could contain us with their boundaries. That's why I had studied behavioral psychology and made it my life's work. It made people fit into predictable patterns. And I didn't get the music. I didn't even like Elvis. What was rock and roll? A few chords and a simple beat? My dad had built an impressive collection of jazz records, and had heard many of the greats in person, too. Duke Ellington and Count Basie when my dad ventured up to Harlem, and he'd loved Billie Holiday. Before the war, he'd even heard the young Charlie Parker play, and I knew from the way he talked about him that if my dad had lived, he'd have loved to see where Parker went. When the war ended in 1945, and things went back to normal, nothing went back to normal for me. I was a 15-year-old kid. My dad had been killed in combat, and I held on to the culture he left me. That included baseball and the memories of all the games we saw together. The Yankees meant hope and redemption, but now there was no redemption on the field. Last season, the summer of 1966, was the worst season in Yankees history. We came in last place. I had had my hopes up this year when they won their opening game on Monday, but then they lost on Wednesday, and now on Friday they were losing again. I was already panicking, afraid the team was heading for last place a second time, even with Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle still on the field.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?